Monday, which means one thing. Monday Evening Quarterback is officially here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you guys are going to watch and or listen to this podcast. Welcome back, as I said, to another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name's Christian Simpson, and I am the creator, I'm the founder, I'm the NFL and college football analyst of a company called The Daily Blitz, where we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365. Got another jam-packed show for you. Lots took place in college football. Week 7 is officially in the books. New rankings are out. A lot of upsets took place. Can't wait to talk about all that. Week 6 in the NFL is just about history. There's one more game tonight. I'll be giving my take on that before I end the show. I'm going to go to the phone lines and I'm going to answer some questions, just give my thoughts on what took place in the NFL yesterday, because a lot of surprising things happened, and I'm going to take your questions. Like I said, I'm going to promote, and then we're going to end the show, and I'm going to tell you how you can keep up with me, give my shout outs as usual. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show today. So let's dive right into it. College football, week 7, it took place Saturday. There were 2 major games that really had my attention. I did end up previewing them on the site last week. The first was then number 10 ranked Penn State against then number 5 ranked Michigan. Both these teams are a lot more similar than I think people really understand and realize, because both teams want to establish that run, quarterbacks who just manage the game, and both play very stingy, physical, and aggressive defense. With Penn State, their running game has really improved this year with Nick Singleton, Trent Allen taking a lot of pressure off Sean Clifford. And I really like that tight end for Penn State, Brenton Strange. It's just a mismatch all over the field. And tight ends now are just bigger wide receivers because they're asked to do so much more than just play tight and block. You know, they're almost used as additional wide receivers if you think about it. Coming into the big house, which is a tough place to play, this Michigan team, I really like how they've been looking this year, pretty much picking up where they left off from a season ago. J.J. McCarthy, all they're asking of him is to manage the football game. I think Michigan has a legit Heisman candidate in Blake Corum. Has a nice counterpiece with him in the backfield, and Donovan Edwards. Receiving core is pretty good. Offensive line is strong, and the defense is picking up. Pass rush may not be what it was, but that's what happens when you lose a guy of Aiden Hutchinson's caliber. But they're still getting the job done. Early in the beginning, both these teams were really trading punches. I'm talking left and right. Kind of seemed like they were matching each other a little bit, wit for wit. But then Michigan got comfortable. Michigan never looked back, and Michigan ended up pulling away from that game 41-17. Looking at some stats right here because I write everything down. Looking at some stats. On the Penn State side, Sean Clifford was 7 of 20, 107 of 19, 120 yards passing. And Sean was also your leading rusher. And a lot of y'all know how I feel about quarterbacks being your leading rusher. Michigan, give them a lot of credit. They held Nick Singleton in check for most of the game. Same thing with Trent Allen. Yes, he did have that touchdown on the goal line, but other than that, yeah, Michigan's pass defense was absolutely outstanding. Held all those receivers to pretty much under 60 yards receiving. Brenton Strange only had 9 yards, and he was my X factor coming into the game. Then on the other side, yeah, J.J. McCarthy was 17 of 24, $145, no touchdown passes, 1 interception. But Donovan Edwards really came and lit the day up. 16 carries, 173 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. And Blake Corum, 28 carries, 166 yards, rushing and 2 touchdowns in the 24-point win for Michigan over Penn State. Yeah, this Michigan team's tough. And look, I was telling one of my friends this weekend, that game against Ohio State, I truly hope that both teams come in undefeated. That's just going to make the storyline so much more interesting and so much more entertaining. That's pretty much going to determine who wins the division, who wins the Big Ten East, and who's going to represent the Big Ten East in the Big Ten Championship. But yeah, Michigan's just playing outstanding football. Ohio State was on the bye this week, and I still think they're the best team in the country right now because they're doing it in all phases. Offensively, those other receivers outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba have stepped up. C.J. Stroud's pretty much picked up where he left off last year in 2021. And the defense is much improved. To beat Ohio State, you need a strong defensive line. There's only one team that I think can beat Ohio State, and it's not Alabama, who I'm about to get into very shortly. It's Georgia. Georgia has a strong defensive line. They can get home with just 3. That's what amazes me. You saw it in the national championship. They can get home with just 3, 4 at the most, and they don't blitz. That would be an interesting matchup. I want to know who you guys think will play in the national championship. Send it to me in the comments of this video. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, The Daily Blitz. Little shameless plug there. A top 17 went down this weekend. USC at the hands of the Utah Utes. Salt Lake City's a tough place to play. And Utah, they're pretty much playing for pride now. I know they had hopes of being a potential playoff team in 2022, but they lost that opening game to Florida in Gainesville, lost a couple weeks ago. So right now they're playing for pride. It was a shootout as I expected. Caleb Williams almost had them, but Utah just made one more play when it mattered most. Utah won that game by a score of 43-42. You guys know how I feel about Cam Rising, the quarterback for Utah, and Tavion Thomas, the running back for Utah. I think they're one of the best 1-2 punches in the country. They just know how to execute and feed off one another. USC just did not have it that day. I just saw a lot of glitches on defense, no communication, not finishing tackles and in space, and you're not going to win football games when you don't execute on the little things at that. So we got that out the way. USC, Michigan, with the game of the day, maybe the game of the year in both college and the NFL. It was that good, and if a replay were to come on, I would watch it all over again. I'm talking about the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Tennessee Titans, the annual third Saturday in October. That's when these teams play every year. This is my first time getting the chance to preview this matchup, and man, I am so happy I got the chance to. Coming into the game, I can admit to you, I wasn't happy with Alabama. They just don't seem like the same team. Now, they kind of look like those Nick Saban coach teams of old back in 2011, 2012, 2010, when they really didn't have those explosive receivers like we've seen the last couple years. I'm talking to Jerry Jeudy's, the Devontae Smiths, Jamison Williams, John Mechie III. So now they've really gone back to a strong running game, and Jahmyr Gibbs has really stepped up and answered the call. They've built this offense around him. I will say this. You just saw how important Bryce Young is to that team on Saturday, because I think if that's Jalen Milroe, Tennessee wins this game by 2 touchdowns, maybe even more. It's a blowout. It was a back-and-forth affair. Been high on Tennessee all year long. Hendon Hooker, I think, is officially a Heisman candidate. May not win it, but he's definitely the guy that deserves to sit at the table and get an invite to New York City. I look at just his supporting cast: Jalen Hyatt, Jabari Small. They play defense. They can stop the run. But one thing I kept noticing in this game on Saturday was every time they thought they had Bryce Young, he just found a way to slither away from pressure, which is why I always say he reminds me of a bigger Russell Wilson. I don't know if he's as fast as Russell, but I just go by what I see. Tennessee was running away with it. They were up by 18 points at one time. Then Alabama decided to fight back. Alabama's never out of a game, and they're going to let you know that. Thought this game was over when Alabama got the fumble from Hooker, stripped it, forced the fumble, recovered the fumble, then got up and scored. But Tennessee would not back down, and that's the thing I like about this team. They're not battle tested. Interesting thing is Tennessee, they beat their share of ranked teams this year. They beat Pittsburgh, right? They beat Florida. They beat LSU. Now, a win against Alabama would really get people recognizing Alabama misses the kick late in the game. Tennessee marches down the field on them, attacks that secondary, kicks a wobbly 50-yard field goal to win the game. And I was telling one of my friends who was actually with me watching the game, I told him, look, 50 points is going to decide this game. Tennessee won that game by a score of 52-49. Alabama loses another regular season game in back-to-back years, which is rare for them. They just kind of cruise through their schedule. Bryce Young, what a day. 35 of 52, 455 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Jahmyr Gibbs, 24 carries, 103 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns on the day. Cameron Latu caught a touchdown. And Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver, caught a touchdown. Cameron Latu went 6 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Brooks went 6 receptions, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Then on the Tennessee side of things, Hendon Hooker, 21 of 30, 385 yards passing, and 5 touchdown passes with a lone interception, which ended up being his first interception of the year. And the star of the day was wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. I think he's the best wide receiver in the SEC, and he showed that on Saturday. 6 receptions, 207 yards receiving, 34 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. He gets my game ball. Just what a day at the office. And looking at some other games, Kentucky was able to survive Mississippi State. Kentucky was able to survive Mississippi State by a score of 27-17. Clemson survives a Florida scare, 34-28. Florida State, they've been a tougher team this year, but Clemson survives. They're 7-0. James Madison, first time ranked, and they lose to Georgia Southern by a score of 45-38. How about the TCU Horned Frogs? Now, I watched a lot of that game last weekend when they played the Kansas Jayhawks. And I really like Max Duggan. I really like Quentin Johnston. And that defense is pretty good. And they're very well coached under Sonny Dykes. How do they come into this game against Oklahoma State, which I thought was a preview of the Big 12. I'm getting my conferences confused. The Big 12 championship. Oklahoma State was in control for most of this game. And then TCU just ended up fighting back. 43-40 was the score. Max Duggan, 23 of 40, 286 yards. Passing, 2 touchdowns. Kendre Miller, 22 rushing attempts, 104 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And Quentin Johnston, 8 receptions, 180 yards, 22 yards per attempt, and 1 touchdown. And that guy, he's a big, massive guy, and there's really no answer for him. You have to double him or put a really athletic safety on him. TCU, they continue to remain unbeaten. I have a feeling it wasn't the only time we're going to see these two play. I have a feeling we're going to see these two match up once again. How about the Syracuse Orangemen beating up on North Carolina State, and they're undefeated. Mississippi State remains perfect, defeating Auburn. Oklahoma finally gets back in the win column. And you see how much of a difference having your starting quarterback makes. They haven't had Dylan Gabriel these last couple of weeks. Having your starting quarterback healthy at that makes all the difference. And then the Illinois Fighting Illini defeat the Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Illini, they're the favorites to win the Big Ten West. That's how it's looking right now. Wisconsin doesn't look all that good. Iowa's been up and down. Minnesota's been up and down. This has been the best team. It's almost like spin the wheel of fortune with the Big Ten West. Like, you have an idea of who's going to win the Big Ten East every year. It's either going to be one or two teams, Michigan or the Ohio State Buckeyes. It just seems to change every year with the Big Ten West. 2 really good running backs in that game, Chase Brown of Illinois and then Muhammad Ibrahim of Minnesota. And looking at the numbers of that game, Tanner Morgan, 4 of 12, 21 yards passing. What they built this offense around, Ibrahim, 15 carries, 127 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Whereas on the other side, Tommy DeVito, 25 of 32, 252 yards passing, 10 yards per pass attempt, 1 touchdown. And then Chase Brown, 41 attempts, 180 yards, no touchdowns. Now, if Jalen Hyatt didn't do what he did, I probably would have given that game ball to Chase, because he's been nothing short of amazing and terrific this year. That's pretty much everything that caught my eye in college football this year. On this Saturday. Now, looking at the AP Top 25, it's been a little bit of a shakeup, right? As you'd expect. Looking at it right here, Georgia's back at number 1. Kind of not surprising. Ohio State's at 2. The Tennessee Volunteers are at number 3. Amazing. Michigan's at 4. Clemson's still at 5. Alabama falls to 6. Alabama and Tennessee pretty much did a complete swap. 7, Ole Miss. 8, TCU. 9, UCLA. 10, Oregon. That's the top 10. At 11, Oklahoma State, after losing that game to TCU. 12, USC. They drop a couple of spots. 13, Wake Forest. 14, Syracuse. Have a huge game upcoming this weekend. Can't wait to get my hands on that. Did I say that out loud? 15, Utah. 16, Penn State. 17, Kansas State. 18, Illinois. 19, Kentucky. 20, Texas. 21, Cincinnati. 22, North Carolina. 23, North Carolina State. So both North Carolina schools getting some love. Excuse me. Look, it's Monday. I'm tired. 24, Mississippi State. And 25, Tulane. That rounds out this week's top 25. As I said, Jalen Hyatt, the star wide receiver of Tennessee, got my game ball. 6 receptions, 207 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He was my X factor for a reason, because I knew he could really shred apart that Alabama secondary, which hasn't been great this year, and he did just that. Pretty much everything that caught my eye in Week 7 of college football. What caught your eye Leave me your thoughts in the comments. Send me your questions. I'm always willing to answer, always willing to give my take on certain things. Interacting with you, the fan, is the highlight and the joy of my day when it comes to the Daily Blitz. Now, let's look at the NFL side of things. Week 6, can't believe it. Just seems like yesterday we were getting ready for the Bills and the Rams. Thursday night, week 1, everybody's pumped up. Football's back, and we're already almost... Excuse me. We're already almost 7 weeks in. All 3 New York football teams are playing really well right now. The New York Jets, the New York Giants, and the Buffalo Bills. Let's start with the New York Jets. They played the Green Bay Packers. This was Zach Wilson playing the quarterback he said he grew up idolizing, and Aaron Rodgers, his first matchup against them. So you had a young, future face of the league quarterback in Zach Wilson, as some would say, against a veteran, a future Hall of Famer, a 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl winner, and Aaron Rodgers, who's pretty much done it all. Heading into this game, I just knew that the Jets could give the Packers a lot of problems, and they did just that. They absolutely punched Green Bay in the mouth. Green Bay could never recover, and when you wear them down physically, they're not the same football team. The Jets won that game by a score of 27-10. Looking at these stats right here, Zach Wilson, 10 of 18, 110 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But how about Breece Hall? You guys know how much I loved him at Iowa State. I was calling him the best running back in the country, and he's having a nice little impact on this offense for the Jets. 20 carries, $116, and 1 touchdown, and even did his own little version of the Lambeau Leap, but with Jets fans. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, 26 of 41, 246 yards passing, and 1 touchdown pass. He was sacked 4 times. The Packers just couldn't get anything going. That's just what it is. And you see how much you've seen in these last 2 games, just how much this offense really misses Devontae Adams. And right now, I put the Packers' struggles on Aaron Rodgers because he took that money and they pretty much showed him, look, you're aging, you're getting older, now let's see what you can do. And he hasn't really shown it, if I'm being realistic. Green Bay's not a good football team right now. Green Bay, they're struggling to get anything going offensively. I see Rodgers trying to force feed the ball to these younger receivers. It's going to take time. This is why I kept saying, build this offense around Aaron Jones. He will help open up the passing game. Plain and simple. And they haven't done it. The Packers are 3-3 right now, looking up to the Minnesota Vikings, who own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Green Bay Packers due to beating them in week 1. Look, I try to give Green Bay the benefit of the doubt, but Aaron Rodgers decided to be selfish. This is why, you look at guys like Tom Brady, who takes a pay cut every year in his career to help the team and allow them to be better. You don't get that from Aaron Rodgers. That's why I think there's a huge difference between the two. The Jets went into Lambeau, a tough place to play, and they punched the Green Bay Packers in the mouth, and they did it in all 3 phases of the game. They did it offensively. Got that push up front, dominated the line of scrimmage, ran the football. Zach Wilson took care of the ball. Defensively, they put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They were able to rush with just 4 and get home. Special teams, they handled their business. Blocked a field goal attempt, blocked a punt, and they're a very well coached football team right now. They're 4-2. I haven't seen the Jets play with this much intensity since the Rex Ryan days. With Darrelle Revis, those stingy defenses, Mark Sanchez. Yeah, I took it back for y'all. So let's talk about the other New York football team that's doing really well, and that's the New York Football Giants. They're 5-1. Couldn't tell me you saw that after 6 games. Played the Baltimore Ravens, and look, Baltimore, I'm just shaking my head at them because yesterday was the third time that they've blown a double-digit lead. Blew one against Miami in week 2, blew one against Buffalo in week 4, and just blew another one yesterday against the New York Giants. Give the Giants credit because they bottled up the run and they forced Lamar to beat them. And Lamar's throwing across his body. Lamar's been in the league long enough to know throwing across your body will never end in a good result. Yeah, give the Giants credit. I really like what Brian Dable is doing for the Giants because he said, look, if I can get Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley to mesh together and I can build this offense around them, I know I have something. And God, this team's just responding really well to Brian Dable. Now, I heard something after every win, he plays Juicy by the Notorious B.I.G. And that just makes me like him even more. But yeah, the Giants, they're a gritty team. They're not just going to go away. I mean, they made a couple of passes. Daniel Jones continues to take care of the football, which I think is a humongous difference. Saquon, they continue to allow him to be the bell cow and the workhorse of this offense. And defensively, my X factor coming into this game was the rookie, Kayvon Thibodeau. You guys know I was high on him when he was in college at Oregon. I've often compared him to two guys that are future Hall of Famers, DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. I see a little more DeMarcus in him than I see some Von because he can do a little bit of everything, but he's cut from that cloth. And he made a sack of Lamar, forced a fumble. Giants get the ball back. Giants win the game by a score of 24 to 20. Unbelievable. The Giants are 5-1. Never saw that coming. And the Buffalo Bills, they had a huge game yesterday against the Kansas City Chiefs. And anytime Buffalo gets to play KC, I think they go in with that chip on their shoulder because Kansas City's a team that ended their season in back-to-back years. So, of course, you're going to pull a Michael Jordan and take it personal. I was so happy I got to preview this game on the site. I don't know if you guys heard, but Tony Romo actually predicted the score of this football game. And he makes me jealous when he predicts things and he gets it right because that's the level I want to be at. But that's why Tony gets paid the big bucks. I think Mahomes and Allen are the two best quarterbacks in the National Football League. But coming into the game, I trusted Buffalo and their weapons offensively and their defense a little bit more than I did anything of Kansas City's. After Travis Kelce, there's really no other receiver that scares me on Kansas City. Just like I said about Aaron Rodgers needing Devontae Adams, could you say the same about Patrick Mahomes needing Tyreek Hill? You could, but he's worked with what he has around him. I'll give him that much. But I don't trust Kansas City and their red zone defense at that. And look at how the Raiders were just able to throw the football on them. What makes you think the Buffalo Bills, a far more potent football team, potent offense, wasn't going to do the same? It was a grinded out game. I was expecting another shootout like we did in the playoffs all those days ago, but both teams really grinded it out. Both defenses really did well. Looking at these stats, Josh Allen, 27 of 40, 329 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He was only sacked 1 time. Devin Singletary was the leading rusher for the Buffalo Bills. There's hope after all. 17 carries, 85 yards, no touchdowns, but just the fact they were able to establish him and allow him to keep running the ball. He brings a scarier element to their offense because we know what they're going to be capable of throwing the ball, right? It's the running of the football that can throw teams off. Because if you think about it, and if you watch when defenses play the Buffalo Bills, no team loads the box. Yes, Josh Allen was the leading rusher, was the second leading rusher, but he wasn't the leading rusher, which makes me happy. And on the other side for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes was 25 of 40, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Juju Smith-Schuster probably had his best game as a member of the Chiefs. 5 catches, 113 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Buffalo does win this game and get their revenge 24-20. I have a feeling we're going to see these two again. But this time in Buffalo, look, we got Peyton and Brady for so many years. I think we're about to get Mahomes and Allen for the next 15 years. That's how good these quarterbacks are. You're comparing them to a Hall of Famer and a future Hall of Famer, as one of them is still playing. And speaking of Tom Brady, that's perfect segue. Let's look at that game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if you follow Tom Brady throughout his career, he's made a living off of defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Has done it in the playoffs a couple times in the AFC Championship, regular season matchups. I think he's only lost in Pittsburgh a total of 3 times coming into yesterday. Now, in years past, I remember saying to myself, in years past, the Steelers, they always seem to play Brady soft, which you can't do, because if you do that, he's just going to pick you apart, right? That wasn't the case yesterday. I saw a Tampa 2 look with the safeties, so they were patrolling the back. They played man coverage, and they were able to get home with 4 and kept that spy in the middle of the field. So in other words, they forced Brady to throw over the top to the over the numbers. Pittsburgh, they were just all in Tom Brady's face. I think they sacked him about 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to look that up to make sure. Brady was only sacked 3 times, but 2 times. But the Buccaneers could not get the running game going. Leonard Fournette's been their best offensive player this year. He has really shouldered the load of this offense while Tom Brady still tries to get on the same page with his new wide receivers. And you see how much he really misses Rob Gronkowski, because there were a couple of plays in that game yesterday where he fakes it off to the left, drops back in the pocket, tries to find his tight end, running the seams, but he just dropped the pass. And that's a play he and Gronk could probably run in their sleep. But Gronk's not there anymore because he retired. Tampa's defense did all they could handle. Kenny Pickett, interesting. Your first win comes against the greatest quarterback ever to play, and Tom Brady. And I really like how the Steelers look. I think they saved their season yesterday, because sitting at 1-5, you're pretty much done for. They're 2-4. They can get back into this. They just have to play their style of football, which is run. They need to run the football right now. They can't expect Kenny Pickett to bail them out at this point. He has the skill set to, but let him learn how to be an NFL quarterback. Let him learn how to read defenses. But Tampa loses this game by a score of 20-18. Tampa's 3-3. They don't look as sharp as the team I think many of us expected them to be, especially with Brady coming back. And then sticking with the NFC, I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a huge game last night on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dallas has won their last 4 coming into this game. Philly, they've won their first 5 games, so they're 5-0. The game plan was simple. Base it off of what Micah Parsons was going to do. So if he's sitting at the line of scrimmage, they're running the football at him. You can block somebody. Or if he's not sitting on the line of scrimmage, you're throwing the opposite way, where he wasn't. And Philly executed that RPO. A.J. Brown just amazes me for this offense. Devontae Smith got a couple of catches. They were able to run the football, which is their bread and butter, and then this defense was active. Philly made it a track meet. Remember I said in my preview coming into this game, Philly had to make this a shootout and force Dallas and force Cooper Rush to press. And Cooper threw 2 interceptions. And I want to call out the Dallas Cowboys for a second because what's with the play calling? When something's when something's going for you or something is working for you, why would you get away from it? That's what I don't understand. They were running the ball, and then all of a sudden, they tried to get Cooper Rush to take a shot down the field, and then it just wasn't there. Dallas just couldn't get out their way. Philly was just a better team. Philly won this game by a score of 26-17. They're 6-0, and they're continuing to play really well. Looking at those stats right now, Cooper Rush 18-38, 181 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Ezekiel Elliott, that is, led the team in rushing with 81 yards. CeeDee Lamb led the team in receiving with 81 yards. And Jalen Hurts, 15-25, 155 yards, passing, 2 touchdowns, sacked 4 times. It happens. Miles Sanders led the team in rushing with 71 yards. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith each had receiving touchdowns. A.J. Brown was the leading rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to know, who do you think beats the Eagles to give them their first loss? Send it to me. I want to know what you really say. And with that being said, I don't have any questions for the show. Let's check just in case. Yeah, I don't have any questions for the show. With that being said, before I end the show, let's talk about Monday Night Football. It's an AFC West showdown. Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers. Last time we saw Denver, they couldn't get out their own way. Russell Wilson was really struggling to throw the ball, and they fell short to the Indianapolis Colts. Then you have the Los Angeles Chargers. Dear God, I almost said San Diego. Escaping that game against the Cleveland Browns. Brandon Staley almost gave it up and almost allowed Cleveland to come back, but Cleveland ruined the game and did what the Cleveland Browns do. This comes down to coaching because both coaches are risk takers. They want to go for it when it matters most, or they just do questionable things. Right now, I trust the Chargers a little bit more than I do the Denver Broncos. I think the Chargers win this game by a score of 27-20. I think Justin Herbert outduels Russell Wilson. First meeting between these two. It's at SoFi. Can't wait to watch this one. Hope you guys have fun watching it. And with that being said, I'm just gonna end the show right now. As you guys know, if you've been watching, I always give shout outs. So a huge shout out to my parents. Love you guys so very much. I'm not here without you, either one of you. So thank you for all you do, all you've done, and all I know you're going to continue to do. My sister Taylor, love you so much and always proud of you. My son, better known as my dog Siebes, who's laying at my feet right here, who just celebrated a birthday yesterday. He's double digits. Time flies. My other siblings, Tanisha, Sean, Janice, some of my closest friends, Josh, Corey, Deshaun, Robert Butler, Candace, Carter, Kamel Fryer, Jason Tyree, Rob Carter, Mike Griffin, just to name a few. Man, if I forgot you, trust me, I could be here all day doing this, but that's just going to take up too much time. But that doesn't mean I love you any less. Thank you guys for always supporting, not just those I shouted out, but those who tune in on a regular. I can't forget my coach, Cole Johnson, my co-analyst. I learn so much from that man every day, and I can't forget our moderator, D. Really keeps me and Coach on our P's and Q's, sending us questions and just making sure we're sharp to answer them at all times. How can you keep up with me? Log on to the website, which is thedailyblitz.blog. Enter your email address and become a subscriber today. Log on to Twitter and follow us at dailyblitz_61. Give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com. Go to the search box, type in The Daily Blitz, give us a like, and then follow us on Instagram at The Daily Blitz _61. More great content coming to you guys this week. How can you keep up with me on the airwaves? That's why I do this. Every Monday Evening Quarterback on YouTube. Have some big things for Monday Evening Quarterback coming up. I'm not going to say what it is just yet, but just know once more comes with it, you guys will be the first to know. Monday Evening Quarterback on YouTube every Monday. Right after, you can catch me on Prime Sports World on the show The Prime with David Hoffman, Israel Rivera, TJ Hopkins, and Matt James. That's every Monday night and Tuesday night. Every Wednesday, you can catch me on The Nerd Zone with Ronnie Kumpf, John Danzo, Christopher Lawrence, Ryan Shaw. Every Friday on Prime Sports World, the network. You can catch me on College Football Showdown with the man that runs the Prime Sports World Network, Mr. Israel Rivera, who's coming to Monday Evening Quarterback very soon. He promised me, so I can't wait to get him in because the doors at MEQ are always open. Every Saturday morning, you can catch my YouTube pregame show entitled What's on Tap, and the same on Sundays, What's on Tap as well. Guys, it's been fun. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. I'm on my way to go record the Prime with those knuckleheads. I will share the show on Facebook if you have me added. This episode of Monday Evening Quarterback will be up soon. This episode of Monday Evening Quarterback is sponsored by the wonderful people at Homage. Yeah, they hooked me up with this incredible Yankee hoodie. Game 5 tonight, Cleveland Guardians, New York Yankees in the Bronx. Win or go home. This is what playoff baseball is all about. But until then, I will see you guys soon. I'm on my way to go do the Prime. Be encouraged, be motivated, and most importantly, be blessed.